guys are about to witness me do a professional profiling session on my old childhood friend, Charles Bonsu. He is Ghanaian. We went to church together, and we pretty much were like really close friends. We actually played a lot. As he was always like a younger brother to me, and then we kind of were disconnected for years after I moved to back to New York when I was 14 or 15. But yeah, we kind of like we really played together a lot from like between the age of like maybe 10, maybe 11 up to like so for like 4 or 5 years. And yeah, he got into typology. He joined my group chat for my subscribers and clients on Telegram, Ponder Palace, and in there we've been kind of like engaging. He followed me on Twitter and everything, and he expressed that he was interested in type. And I was like, all right, man, well, let's try to like get in a profiling session with you sometime. And he was oscillating between, well, maybe I shouldn't say that part yet. I want you guys to decide for your own, as you observe this session, what types do you think that Charles might be? Be sure to like, this one is a little bit tricky. And so try, like, I think that there's a lot that you will be able to learn from this session. It was a little bit even tricky for me because sure I knew him when he was younger and everything, but I hadn't seen like how he had progressed. I didn't know anything about type when I was younger, and it was just interesting like hear his thoughts and how he expressed himself in certain ways, and yeah. But I think that by the end we found the type that definitely most resonated with him, and I would just love to see in the live chat what you guys might think. And hopefully this helps you guys out. So without further ado, I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna let y'all check out Charles. To say it after I started recording. So, do I have your permission to record this session?
Yep, you have my permission.
Perfect. All right, cool, bro. It has been so long. Look
Yeah,
at
some
you,
years.
Mr. Tails. You know, by the way, wearing the
With the
Sonic.
Sonic shirt.
Oh man, yeah, it's been a grip. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm really looking forward to this. There's gonna be some of the questions that, you know, if you answer in a certain way, then I'm gonna think in my head cap, but you know, I'm gonna pretend like I don't know. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm
I'll
just
try to be as authentic as possible.
no. I believe that you will. I believe that you will for sure. Um, all right. So the way that this goes is essentially I'm going to be asking you a series of questions,
Mhm.
and like you said, you know, just answer as honestly as possible. There's not really a wrong answer. The questions are going to be very open ended. If you need me to be more specific, then you can go ahead and ask. But at the same time, you know, if you also, uh, how do I say it? At the same time, like if you pretty much the questions are intentionally also open ended to see where you're going to go with it. And at the
Uh-huh.
end, I'm going to tell you what type that I believe that you are, and I'm going to
Mhm.
break it down with my reasoning. And that's going to be your time to tell me, oh, okay, you know what, that actually makes sense, or oh, I'm sorry, I think that you misunderstood me here, etc., etc., etc.
Okay,
Yeah, awesome, cool.
sounds good.
So just give me a minute and let me make sure that she's done. So, my first question for you is what is something that you love to do? And when
Something
I
I
say
love to
you love to do, I mean that you love to do so much that the only reason why you stop is because you're absolutely exhausted. Otherwise, you'd go on indefinitely.
do. Let me think about this a little bit. Probably one thing I can think of is doing like little small engineering type projects. So like building robots, or I used to mess with RC cars a lot.
Oh,
It's been something I've been really trying to get back into.
interesting.
But I guess anything that usually involves working with my hands, building small things.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Okay. So you would describe yourself as someone who's really good with their hands?
Yeah, using tools or whatnot.
Got you, got you, got you. When did you discover this about yourself?
Um, Probably when I was 8.
Hmm.
around that time because I remember my dad had bought me like a giant. He brought like a giant box of Legos.
Oh, yeah.
Randomly just where those. I just would always mess with them.
Huh. Okay. I see. And now you work as an engineer, right?
I go to school for engineering. I actually have an internship set up for an engineering internship.
Nice, nice, nice. How's that going?
It's going good. My starting date should be May 23rd. Pretty excited for it. It's a lot of so basically I'll be doing with like actuation technology and different applications on the utilization of different valves.
Nice. Dude, that's really awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I'm now wondering too. So like you said that you pretty much started at the age of 8 when it came to like Legos and everything like that. So from there, you leapt to just right off the bat, and like you've pretty much stayed with the
Yeah,
consist like you didn't really switch, like you've always wanted to be an engineer or something having to do with like building and stuff like that, or
yeah. I think for maybe up until recently, it's probably been questioning that a little bit, but always knew I was going to do something related to engineering. Especially when I first discovered what engineering was in seventh grade,
Mm.
I was introduced to the concept of industrial engineering.
Wow.
And then from there, I think everything I've done is kind of to stay around that type of industrial engineering field. So a lot of what I've learned was, over time was like the usage of motor applications, PLC programming, a little bit of machine work, and understanding the properties of various materials.
Okay, that's awesome. Seriously.
Thank you.
uh how did what do you like about engineering? Like what makes
Um,
that so much your passion?
the free thinking. I feel like I'm a big thinker. I've
Mm,
probably spent a lot of time in class just thinking rather than paying attention in class. Um,
mm,
but I feel like I have a very exploratory type of mind. I like in engineering that, there's no one way to solve a problem.
mm.
There's a lot of different ways you can go about things. And I feel like that's how my mind usually works. Like I take a lot of different paths and, just try to figure out which is the best path to take.
Got you, got you, got you. Okay. So going off of that, when you said that you're pretty much like a big thinker, a free thinker, um, like so you said that you sit in class and you prefer to think rather than like pay attention. If I
Yeah.
heard you correctly,
Yep, you did.
what exactly were you thinking about?
Um, well, the thing is, there's no, it can be anything and everything, and we've already kind of discussed on like why my brain works on like that in the group chat. But for the most part, a lot of, I guess I could talk for recently. A lot of what I tend to think about is a lot more abstract. So I think about life a lot.
Okay. In
So
what way?
what's up?
In what way?
In what way? Sort of like place in the universe type thing, our role as an individual, place with each other in society, the functionings of society. So as much as like I love engineering and like working with my hands, a lot of my thinking, at least now, when I have time, is just like I think about a lot of life things and interpersonal type things.
Got you. Got you. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, what else do you love to do so much that you would only stop because you're absolutely exhausted?
I want to say drawing, but I'm not that good at drawing.
That's fair. I know people who say singing and they admit that they are horrible at singing, but for some reason they still
But
want
they
to keep
enjoy it.
going.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I could be one of them.
I can see it. I can definitely see it.
What do you like about drawing?
Um, so big into anime. If that wasn't already like a little bit apparent.
Yeah,
But it was really anime that got me into drawing. Probably my favorite anime growing up was like Bleach, Naruto, a lot of the same things everyone else had liked,
Code
and
Lyoko.
kind of just being able to sit there and design a character from your own imagination. That's been like it's a very appealing thing to me.
Got you. Yeah, okay, cool. Is there anything else?
Drawing wise,
Oh, like anything
things
else
that I love to do,
you do? Yeah. If not,
working
that's
out
working out.
and martial arts.
Oh, so you're a martial artist.
I like to say that I am. I really just been trying to learn boxing So I joined a boxing club here on campus. Been at that for a couple of years. It recently made a decision I'm ready to move on to other forms of martial arts. So trying to pick up Muay Thai within the next year.
Dang. Muay Thai?
Yeah,
Wow,
I've been
okay.
looking at that one since I was in middle school. That's been just a martial arts that's caught my interest for a long time.
So, what got you into that? Was it because of anime?
A little bit, a little bit. But I've always been. Well, you were there for all of it. We've always been kind of like rowdy kids and always
Yeah.
messing with each other. So that kind of just stuck with me over time.
Yeah, you know what? I think it was the same for me. Yeah, I remember like in church we were
Mhm.
just always not actually fighting, but like sparring.
Yeah, to spar with each other with
And
some limits. We maybe go
yeah,
overboard every now and then.
yeah, there people got hurt.
We definitely got hurt, but it's all good fun.
Yeah,
Boys being boys type
exactly.
thing.
Exactly. Oh wow. That's dope that you're going down that direction. And how are you like when you I know that you said that you've just started like a little bit of boxing classes and everything. Like is it coming to you pretty easily or
Yeah, I think I've always been had like because of like all the sparring we did as kids, always had like a decent type of battle sense. So a lot of the things that I learned came really easily for me.
that's what's up. Respect. Respect. Cool. All right. Just making sure. Is there anything else that you would put there?
Um, but not off the top of my head, it would have to take me a while to think. There's a lot of things that I like to do. I don't really have a priority on which one I like to do the most.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I was just trying to make sure I dried that out. But okay, cool. My next question for you is how would other people describe you, even if you disagreed?
Um, Quiet. That's really it's quiet. At least in the first couple of interactions.
Mhm.
Um, Quiet. I would say nice, though I don't really like when people call me nice.
Oh, gotcha.
Kind. Um, Probably the type of individual that always tries to be there for others, which is definitely something I try to do. Yeah, probably that for the most part.
Got you.
Mhm.
All
Yeah, I
right.
can't really think of. I've never really asked my friends like, "Hey, well, like, how do you see me as an individual?" So can't really put myself in their shoes.
Got you. Okay. Is it just also something that you just don't really think about, like how other people are perceiving you?
Um, I try not to think about it because it's one of those things I'll probably overthink about.
Got you. Okay. Makes sense. Why would you say that you don't like when people call you nice?
Um, it's a tough question. I don't know. I feel like that type of perception about me is kind of stuck with me growing up, and people kind of treat you a certain way if they feel like they can get something out of you without something in return.
Mm, got you. Got you. So, would you say that you have like a low key inherent fear that people are going to take advantage of you?
Yeah,
Got you.
definitely would say that.
Got you. Where do you think that came from?
Um, I don't know if there was a single event that caused this.
Mm,
I think it's something that's just kind of stuck over time, noticing different behaviors in people.
mm. I see. Cool. All right. Um, how would you describe yourself?
Probably still quiet, like everyone else says. Quiet but very driven. Sporadic from time to time. Like I'm not a big on planning. Don't really
Mm,
like to plan. But I'll try to keep a vague sense of a schedule, but give myself enough flexibility to just kind of just do the things that I want. Um, Driven, planning, active, definitely active.
mm,
Um, a little too empathetic sometimes. feel like it can be a little too considerate of other people's emotions. Like it can kind of cloud the way I think
I
how I treat
see.
other people.
Okay.
What else? Probably those main things off the top of my head.
Okay. Cool. Um, would you say that you're an organized person?
No, not not in the slightest.
All right. Why such a strong answer?
Yeah, I'll try to stay organized. I have clumps of organizations, but I'm very out of sight, out of mind type of person. So I
Ah,
usually have to have things in front of me. So
got it.
yeah, so I don't really have a system for organization because that would mean putting everything else away, and I can't like I'll forget about things.
Got you. Okay. Makes sense.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we are going to jump to, for me, what might be an interesting question, but I'm trying to play it neutral here. How was your childhood like? Like, can you describe how you were like as a child, your family dynamic, what your teachers might have said about you at school, Sunday school teachers?
Mhm. Well, I'll start with Sunday school teachers. I didn't discover this until recently, but I guess I was a troublemaker. Uh,
I
a lot
think that was my fault.
of possibly. If not you, then all the other older kids there. Pretty
Got
close.
troublemaker. In what way?
Troublemaker. In what way? I don't know. He just said I was a troublemaker. I didn't like to listen. I don't like to listen,
Okay,
and
got you.
that holds true with my a lot of early elementary school experiences. I did not like to listen to my teachers,
Mm,
and I would procrastinate a lot. Um, Family dynamic, at least childhood family dynamic. I wasn't too close to my parents per se.
mm,
Very standoffish. Didn't really come to them for my issues. Kind of got used to just dealing with whatever I was dealing with emotionally. I dealt with myself. Whenever I was dealing with school wise, I just dealt with it myself.
mm, mm.
Siblings, rough relationship with my siblings, and that's on me. Much better now. What else? Yeah, I would describe myself as a kid who was often by himself. I enjoy my own company.
Got you. When you were by yourself, what kinds of things did you think about or do?
I think it's probably more of the thinking thing, like the free, just thinking about life type things. And when I'm a kid, like it doesn't make sense for a kid to really be thinking about life, but I think I was very observational of other people. I think because by myself didn't have much to do, so might as well observe other people, observe behaviors. I think now I've kind of got a decent sense of other people's behaviors and why I might act a certain way around people.
Mm,
I feel like they're just from observing other people in my childhood just as a natural thing. I've just come to pick up on things in other people very quickly.
got you. Do you have any examples of things that you might have picked up on about people?
Um, I was in Puerto Rico recently, um,
Oh, okay.
over spring break, and that was really fun. And I've met a lot of different people, and I think it's just interesting how small little habits surface, and you can kind of see like the type of, I guess you could say, insecurities, maybe not insecurities, but weaknesses like an individual may be hiding about themselves. Like for
Mm,
instance, someone might be okay. Oh, well, I have a friend, and he has a very boisterous personality. Um,
mm,
and we kind of talked about it's like he doesn't like one, he doesn't like being ignored, and he doesn't like being alone oftentimes. And that was something I've noticed in that behavior. Well, he's probably doing this because he doesn't like this, and he confirmed that
mm.
for
Got you. Got you. I see.
me.
Okay. Cool. Um, all right. Do you think there's anything else that you feel uh you could tell me about your like how you were as a child or anything that might be missing or do you feel
I was an angry kid.
Oh yeah.
For sure, I was an angry kid. I had a lot of trouble managing my emotions as a kid, mostly
Mm,
the anger.
got you. Well, actually, let's go there. How would you describe your relationship with your emotions?
Back then, I felt like as a kid, I was always in some type of emotional turmoil that I didn't really understand.
Mm,
And I think that's why a lot of it came out as anger, because I was, as a little boy with testosterone, you're going to feel a lot of your emotions as anger, not really understanding what the emotion actually is.
mm.
Um, I'm sorry, could you repeat the question too? So I can
Yeah,
just.
no problem. How would you describe your relationship with your emotions?
Okay, yeah, still that, for what I suffered in my childhood. If I'm speaking for now, I think now I'm a lot more in tune and a lot more aware of the emotions that I feel.
Hmm.
And I've just been taking time to better understand myself as an individual and the things that set me off. Um, and as a response to, like, I can't just continuously be an angry person. I need to
Hmm.
understand what's really going on inside.
Got you. Got you. Got you. Do you feel like you now understand why you were an angry person back then, or that's
Uh,
still?
I think as a kid, one thing, there's a lot of contributors to why I was such an angry person. Where one, like I said, I was alone a lot, and
Mm,
not having the greatest relationship with my parents, more specifically my dad, as you can imagine.
mm,
Um, uh, I was also just prone to being set off easily, so would fight a lot of people just off for very small things.
mm,
So I don't know. A lot of that was probably not me just naturally being an easy to anger person.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There were definitely certain things that would set me off in terms of family dynamics and relationships.
Heard. Heard. Got you. Would you say that you are more in tune with your own emotions or with other people's, if you had to decide?
Probably other people's.
Yeah. What makes you
Uh, what's that?
what makes you say that?
I think I have a hard time when people start expressing their emotions. I have a hard time not feeling that emotion. Like if someone's sad, I start feeling sad. If someone's happy, I start feeling
Mm,
happy. And I started noticing that probably sophomore year in high school. I was like, wow, I'm really affected by other people's emotions.
huh. Got you. How are you like? How are you like when people uh, maybe are crying around you, or uh, you know, they like? How are you like when it comes to like aiding to them emotionally?
I feel like sometimes I get stuck.
Yeah. Can you tell me
Sometimes,
more about that?
yeah, sometimes I'm not sure because they're feeling an emotion so intently, and I don't want to. I don't know if it's if I don't want them to, if I want them to feel that emotion in its entirety, or if I don't want to interrupt what they're feeling. But I'm also aware like they need some type of comfort, so I will try to be a person of comfort. Especially, I know people do come to me for that type of things from time to time, but at the same time, I'm usually not sure how I should go about trying to comfort this person.
Mm. Interesting.
Mhm.
So, okay, I'm just trying to make sense of this. Uh, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that you do feel other people's emotions pretty strongly. You feel
Mhm.
like you're tapped into other people's emotions more than you're even aware of your own emotions. And people do from time to time come to you uh,
Mhm.
for emotional support. And you said that sometimes you don't know how to navigate that. And also, it's too overwhelming for you, like whatever they're feeling. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to be as objective as possible. This is not something I've really thought about too recently.
No, no problem. It's all good. I just want to make sure I get everything correct. Do you like helping other people emotionally, or do you feel
I
like
find
it's
joy in it. I do find joy in it.
yeah?
It's a habit I've been trying to break. But I feel like I'm also a type of like I like trying to solve other people's problems, which I know that's not something I should be doing. People
Mm,
got to solve their own problems at the same time. I don't know if it's just me as an older brother, if that's just the instinct in me.
I see. All right. And would you say then that because I know that you said that, yeah, like you said, you were always in an emotional turmoil that you did not really understand.
Mhm.
So would you say that you've, even though you're more tapped into other people's emotions, you were always also aware of your own emotions? Or would you say that you weren't really aware? Even like, the difference between being aware of your emotions but not understanding them versus not even being aware of your emotions to begin with.
I'd say I was always aware of my emotions growing up. Like I obviously I knew when. How do I put it? I think now, because a lot of people would describe me as really relaxed, um,
Mm,
and I think that's came from just being younger, being aware of the type of emotions I've been feeling, and well, I guess back then it was just more bottling up those emotions, but being aware of when they would try to bubble and rise out. I guess.
mm, okay, got you. Cool. Well, would you say head over heart or heart over head?
Probably hard overhead,
Oh, really? Why do
maybe.
you say that?
I think as much as like logical thinking, reasoning is valid for survival. I think trusting your instincts is a very important thing. Listening to yourself, like your body communicates with you. And if you just slow down and take the time to listen, you'll navigate yourself to the answers that you're looking for. I feel.
Mm, mm, interesting. Can you tell me like a little bit more about that? Is there a way
Um,
to elaborate?
I can try. To repeat the question so I can probably have a better idea how I want to answer it.
Yeah, no problem. So the original question was like, would you say head over heart or heart over head? Understanding that both are important, of course,
Mhm.
but if you had to choose.
Yeah, probably heard overhead. I think the one's emotions are really important and important for stability. And I think if you were to sit here and rationalize things, you could neglect what you actually need emotionally for yourself to really function. I think it's more important to as a human being to function with emotional stability than with reason. Like I don't think
Mm.
living as a robot is the best way to live,
I
so to speak.
feel you. Nice. Okay. Um. All right.
I'm gonna
Guess we'll
be
go
thinking
on to
about
the
that.
next set. Oh, what'd you say?
I was saying I'm probably gonna be thinking about that one for a while.
No problem. No problem. um. I know that you said that you're not organized at all. Um. Would you say though that you are good with resource management? Like,
Um, I think so.
yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Well,
You
I
said
consider myself self sufficient, so to speak.
okay.
Um, I don't know. Repeat the question one more time, please.
No, no problem. No problem. Yeah, I was just asking, like, would you say that you're good at resource management? Like
When you say that, what do you mean precisely?
money? Like,
Oh,
yeah.
I'd say yes and no.
Yeah, you,
Um,
you, you went off to those strip clubs at Puerto Rico, didn't you?
no, I was being a good kid in
I'll
the
tell
crib.
your father. No, I'm kidding.
I go crazy. No, resourceful. I think like I can be a good planner. I can be a good budgeter, but I keep those things really vague. Yeah, I tend to keep those type of things vague because I don't like I don't like being tied down to anything.
Mm, mm,
Um,
mm.
so I guess I try to make time to me is my most valuable resource, and I like time to myself. So if I'm planning things, I plan so vaguely so I can have time to myself.
Mm. Are you good with acting on your feet?
How do you mean?
Like, if So because you're not like really like a planner, like you
Mhm.
said, if something pops up, like are you good with like spontaneity and like
Yeah, I'd say
fun in
so.
the moment?
Yeah.
Got you. Got you. What makes you say that?
Um, I don't know. I feel like I don't know if it's just like an always be prepared type of mentality. I do have like an always be prepared mentality, but at the same time, I don't know how to put it because I wouldn't really consider myself so spontaneous, but I think just considering the worst case scenario in certain situations, just understanding to be prepared. Uh, that understanding, I don't know. I don't feel super pressured in certain scenarios because I just expect things to get chaotic at any given point.
Oh.
So I think me as a person, I think I thrive really well in chaos.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly. So if it's wrong or needs tweaking, let me know.
Mhm.
Are you saying that you thrive really well in chaos because you are just always prepared for chaos? Is that what you were saying?
No, I just think my mind. I don't think I'm always prepared for chaos.
Okay.
I just think my mind functions. It functions within chaos. Like I don't know how to really put it because it doesn't like I don't like to plan. I don't
Mhm.
like to be tied down. So when I act out, when I do certain things, it just I'm just always on the move. I think
Got you.
so.
Got
Just
you.
going from one thing to another, kind of on a like just when I feel like I'm going to move from thing to thing. Or so it's kind of hard to for me to plan out doing a specific task for a certain period of time.
Got you. Got you. Got you. Got you. Got you. So even though you say that you're someone who doesn't really like to plan and you're always on the move, um, when you have your introverted time, or when you're like, you said that you do leave your plans vague so that you can have time to yourself.
Hmm.
Is that still time that you're like on the move, or?
It's at least time for my brain to kind of my brain feeling like it's on the move. So I could sit down, like I could physically be sitting down, but I could be browsing my computer, doing very random things. Like I'd be opening Autodesk Inventor and let me design something real quick. Or a lot of times it comes in the form of, hey, this topic seems interesting. Let me look up this topic real quick.
Hmm. Got you.
Mhm.
And then when you are physically on the move, then what are you doing?
Um, it could be me going to class. It could be me working out. Um, it could be I built a PC, and that one was really kind of randomly planned.
Mm.
So it could be me building something random. It could be I literally last week brought a piano back from my place to try to learn. So like at random moments, I kind of just look at my piano and set it down. Maybe take 15 minutes. Try to learn something on it.
Nice.
It could be cleaning. I'm not like I'm not an organized cleaner. I just kind of clean when I start feeling irritated with my space.
Are you able to work in a messy environment?
I can
Mm.
work in messy environments. I just it gets to a point where the visual clutter is too much. So I kind of like I need to empty it. I need to purge the clutter.
Okay. Okay. How frequently do you think that happens?
Probably once a month in terms of like real deep cleaning.
Yeah. Okay.
I do small stuff here and there, but it's not really anything super crazy. And it's not like my environment isn't messy. It's just everything that's out isn't organized to me, but could be considered a mess.
Got you. Got you. Got you. Okay. Cool. All right. So, how would you describe your relationship with your body? Like, would you say that you're really tapped in, you're in tune with it, you're aware of your surroundings, stuff like that? Would you say that No, I don't really feel my body like that. And I'm like,
I think
yeah,
I'd say I feel very in touch with my body,
yeah.
and my surroundings. With the working out, the boxing, and also like I used to meditate. I still do, but early on I used to meditate a lot more. I think
Mm,
just with the combination of those, I feel really in tune with my body.
got you. Cool. And so you're also really aware of your surroundings. Like you catch people scratching their balls all the time, stuff like that.
I would say so. I
Got,
catch. I feel like tend to catch small details.
gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
Like if within a group setting, if I'm not focused on the group setting, you're probably watching me wandering around, looking at the space around me.
Got it. Would you say that you're also good with reading body language or?
I think now probably, but that was a skill I had to build.
Hmm. What makes you say that?
Um, can't really know. Can't really say whether like when I was a kid I would notice like if I was actually physically aware of other people's body language. But I think now, like I was kind of I think I was kind of mentioning this before. Like I'll notice the small details. So if I'm talking and I see you slightly hunched back, or I see or I hear the slight shift in your voice, and that kind of comes back into like in a social environment. If I'm actually talking, I try
Mm,
to make it such that everyone's comfortable. So say like if in a group conversation, someone I feel like someone really wanted to say something and they're about to start, but they got cut off. I'm
mm.
usually the type to try to loop back to get that person to talk.
I like people like you. That's what's up. I really respect that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Too often does it seem like things just be getting chaotic, and I want to hear everybody speak.
Yeah. See, everyone has something to put in, so I want to hear everyone speak.
Yeah. 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 I definitely get that.
Yeah, especially since I'm sometimes the one that cuts people off when I talk. So like, yeah, let me let you speak because I was like I'd cut you off.
No, I feel that. I feel that. Would you say that you are like how are you like when it comes to brainstorming? So if you're in a group with people and they're all throwing out ideas at the wall and everything, like who are you in that group?
Brainstorming is probably one of my favorite things to do.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Um, that's the engineer in me.
Mm,
Yeah, this in the groups like because I like people throwing in their ideas. Like I said, everyone has something to put in, and I think
mm.
it's a human race. Like that's how we've gotten this far. Like everyone's put in their ideas. We take the best of the ideas and see what we can make out of it.
Nice. So are you one of those people that throws out a lot of ideas in those types of settings, or like who are you?
I feel like I think it depends. I feel like I tend to try to manage the ideas and try to loop back to the ideas. I think I'm the type that tries to organize the data,
Mm,
while also putting in. I'll put in, but I think I tend to listen more than I actually put in.
makes sense. So, in terms from greatest to least,
Mhm.
what would you say is what occupies the most space in your mind? Um, Past, present, future.
Um, future, then past, then present.
All right. Can you elaborate on that answer as to why?
Yeah, I can try. I think I'm always usually thinking about where I'm heading in life. That's usually just how I am. Like if I'm not heading anywhere, what am I doing? What are my actions kind of leading me to? Um, and that was kind of losing me back to the past. So what past? I usually think back to past mistakes a lot, or past situations that I try to learn from.
Mm,
Um, hmm, yeah, I usually in my actions, I usually try to plan or act towards the future based off my past. So that's why I'd say future first, then past.
Mm.
And then present, they're not that the present is the least important, but I don't know how to put it, because they're all definitely important. But
Yeah.
I think I just tend to think more towards the future than actively being in the present. I don't know how to answer this. You see, this one's kind of racking my brain a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time. Take your time. Is it easy for you to be present though?
Um, when I'm by myself,
Mm.
when I'm by myself, I think I'm present. Well, that's kind of hard too, because when I'm by myself, I feel like I'm present with myself. But the way like my thoughts will wander, and my thoughts usually wander towards, if it's not a life thing, it's a future thing. Okay, what are my goals for the future? What am I working towards?
Mm.
So I think being present is probably something that I have to try to start working on. I do think I struggle with remaining in the present a lot of times.
Mm. How do you reconcile that with your ability to catch details around you and pretty much like being tapped into your body like that?
How do you mean?
Like,
How can I be in the present and like watch other people while also having my thoughts wander? Or
yeah, kind of like, and this is just from my understanding. So of course, feel free to clarify. But I guess I would imagine that somebody who is very aware of their surroundings and
Mhm.
like tuned into the details of their surroundings and everything is also someone who's then, very present because you have to be present in order to catch these things.
I
Um,
think around other people, I have an easier time being present,
oh,
because I
okay.
think that the social dynamic kind of calls for it. But if I'm by myself and I'm in my space, there's not as much of a need or requirement to be present. Like I don't need to focus on my surroundings so much, so I can kind
Mm,
of be in my internal headspace without much consequence.
got you. Got you. Okay. Because just a few moments ago, you had said that you felt, and I know that you were still piecing through it. So I just wanted to make sure
Yeah,
you had your final answer. So you do feel like you're more present when you're with people as opposed to when you're alone?
yeah, no, yeah, most
Okay.
definitely.
Okay. Um, what would you say gains your respect for people?
Hmm. What to say gains my respect for people? Um, I think probably above all is the capacity to think for yourself.
Mm,
If I'm talking to you and it shows like you have values, you have morals, you have a way of thinking that's your own, um, then that's I think that's where I draw my respect from. Like, yeah, I draw respect from if you behave as an individual, like you understand your individual, like yourself as an individual, or you at least can enjoy your own company.
got you.
A sense of self.
And you feel like you have those uh, qualities yourself too, right?
Yeah,
Mm,
I'd say I feel like I have a strong sense of self. Usually think I'm usually aware of the things I'm thinking and feeling. I'm
mm.
hyper aware of all of my habits, to a really annoying extent sometimes. Good and bad habits,
Got you.
which only because you're aware of them doesn't necessarily mean they're the easiest to break.
Mm,
But I think I've just taken like I think I've just been comfortable enough being myself that I've just come to being in tune with my thoughts, emotions, the way my body behaves, the way my body reacts to certain things.
Mm,
Yeah, I think that's my answer.
got you. Okay. Um, what's your relationship with adrenaline like?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't think I've explored more of my like spontaneous sides or what it gives me adrenaline to really say.
Mm,
Um, I don't think I look for it in extreme ways,
okay.
uh, but I know boxing gives me a lot of adrenaline, and lifting gives me a lot of adrenaline, and those type of things can get addicting because of it. Um, but yeah, I'm not a thrill seeker.
Mm,
I don't only consider myself a thrill seeker. Yeah, I think so. So that's my answer for that.
okay. What would you say is something that's very obvious to you, but not usually obvious to other people? And then something that's very obvious to other people, but seems to always go over your head. Like, wow, how does everyone always catch things like this? But I don't.
Um, I guess I don't know where to start with that one. What, what's obvious to me? I don't think is obvious to other people.
Yeah.
This might sound a little contradictory due to the recent events, but I think like the way, like, okay, so in a social setting, if I feel like a friend of mine has said something that might make another friend feel some type of way, I feel like I pick up on that,
Okay.
but that
Gotcha.
might not be obvious to the person that said it or that made that other person feel some type of way. So I think because of that, I usually try to phrase and word things such not to um offend the other person, which and like I mentioned to you before, like if I'm not communicating to really take your feelings into consideration, I'm communicating really bluntly. I don't have an in between.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I
So
guess
it's either I'm communicating to cater to your emotions, or I'm probably gonna say something that's gonna be really hurtful. And
mm,
I'm I don't know if that's answering the question.
it's helpful. I don't know if, yeah, it hasn't answered the question yet directly, but that is helpful information. Because I guess what I'm hearing, and again, always correct me if I'm wrong, is that you oscillate between um, your natural tendency is to be blunt and somewhat callous with your delivery of things. Uh,
Um,
and
Kinda, yeah, because I feel like if I consider other people's emotions too much, what I want to say won't come out. So I think that's why when I talk, sometimes things come out as rude because now I have to speak in a way I can't consider your emotions for the thing that I want to communicate.
mm, so when you try to use, it's very difficult for you to use tact, um,
Yeah,
and still feel like you've said what you wanted to say.
yeah.
Okay. Why do you think that is? Like, do you feel like it's possible for other people to do that, but it's just hard for you, or do you feel like it's not possible um, for people to truly use tact and say what they really mean?
I think it is possible for other people, as just something I feel like I particularly struggle with.
Okay, got you.
I guess something that on the other side of it is something that other people pick up on that I may not pick up on.
Hmm, hmm.
Uh, hmm. Maybe social cues. Like it took
Mm,
me a while to kind of understand social cues.
Got you.
Mhm. So definitely now a lot easier, but before wasn't something I quickly picked up on.
Got you. Yeah. So, could you give me some examples of social cues? You know, now that you're like a master at them and everything.
When I say a mastery, I don't know if I have an example off the top of my head. I think that kind of goes back to the way I was communicating. Like when I talk about the way I communicate, like it might not be appropriate to communicate in this type of way, but I did, and I probably shouldn't have.
Got you.
Mhm. So I think that's for me when what I mean by social cues. Like I don't know when sometimes I don't know how I should communicate certain things. So I might pick a form of communication that might not be beneficial for that environment.
Gotcha. Okay.
At least that's off the top of my head. That's what I think.
Yeah. No, I feel that. Okay, cool. And then just to make sure, because I don't think that I've heard the answer to this one yet. Maybe I missed it. Something that's obvious to you that you feel like other people don't notice often.
Yeah, I think other people's actually no, yeah, most definitely other people's emotions to a certain extent. Like if someone, I think I said it, if someone says something that may have made the person feel bad, I
Mhm.
might pick up on that. Or it seems like okay, so for instance, if we're in a group, right, and it seems like someone is socially withdrawing themselves from that group, I'll tend to pick up on it. So I might try to draw that person back in,
Mm.
depending on like if I'm feeling social or not.
Mm.
And I guess I have a recent example of this. I was at a barbecue and we were kind of in a circle. Um, and I just noticed like one of the guys within the circle was kind of having a hard time following along with the conversation. It was kind of in his own head.
Mm.
Not about the conversation. I don't know what he was thinking about, but he was kind of just in his own little world, and I picked up on that. I don't think many other people picked up on that until he kind of, yeah. What's that?
Oh, I said, got you.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's my answer.
Would that be different from you picking up on social cues?
I'm not sure. So this is a question that I don't know if I have a proper answer to.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Everything helps. So, if anything, I'm the one who's supposed to be here to try to like help you sort it out. So I'm just trying to keep on probing to see just to make sure if I'm hearing everything correctly. Because from now, what I kind of like feel like I'm hearing is that something that's obvious to you but doesn't seem to be as like obvious to other people is like other people's emotions
Mm-hmm.
and how they are feeling like when they're in a group and stuff like that. But then something that's not very obvious to you that you had to really work on and pick up that it seemed like everybody else around you was very obvious or very like cued into was social cues.
Yeah. Social cues are like social dynamics.
Okay, got you. So social dynamics are so you're separating social dynamics or interpersonal dynamics
Mm-hmm.
uh from people's emotions.
Yeah, that's separate.
Okay. Got you. How would you separate that in your own words?
Hmm. I feel like I would describe myself as someone who's really good within one-on-one conversation types of scenarios.
Got
Because I like to get to know the individual.
it. Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if it's a group setting and it kind of causes, everyone to be involved in the situations a bit more vague, I might
Mm-hmm.
struggle a bit in those type of environments.
Got you. Okay. But in the group, are you're still tapped into their emotions?
I think it's harder because there's a lot going on.
Mm.
So I might pick an individual out to really like I'll go from individual to individual rather than kind of focus on the whole group dynamic.
Got you. Okay. All right. So when it comes to very abstract, conceptual, and philosophical conversations, how do you fare with those?
I think those are my favorite type of conversations.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What makes you say that?
So my core friend group, when we used to be like around each other a lot, before adulthood and stuff, I think a
Mm,
lot of our conversations would just lead to like life conversations, how the way people behave, people interact, sort of human nature type things, philosophical type things. I think that's where a lot of my conversations back in high school were like,
mm,
and a lot of like my thought process now, in general, the things I tend to think about.
got you. Okay. Do you remember the last riveting conversation that you found yourself just absolutely losing time in?
I think I was at a bar.
Nice.
I think I
Nice.
was at a bar and I had met someone. And we just kind of started talking, um, and if I remember, I think the primary topic of the conversation was um, how people kind of build themselves up towards their future,
Mm,
and like the type of struggles people go through in
mm,
order to get to where they need to go to.
mm. Got you. Okay. So conversations that might be centered around like things that are not tangible or verified.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
I'm
comfortable.
not really like I can't talk about sports a whole lot. I
Mm,
can talk about certain like things with the engineering because I like engineering, I like machinery and all that stuff. But
mm,
even for me, I'm not super technical in terms of that,
mm.
especially for my field. So I'm in like electromechanical field, which is a very much uh, practical application type of engineering. It's not super technical in terms of uh, how it's defined.
Got you.
I think also too. I think the last also another interesting conversation I had was so it was my friend. We were just talking about his family dynamic and why he was the way he was.
Mm,
Um, because he basically grew up with his mom and aunt, his sister and his cousin. So he grew up with a lot of females around him. And we were
mm.
just kind of talking about how that could have shaped him into the person that he is now.
Makes sense. Okay, cool. Do you have spiritual beliefs?
Yes.
Got you. Could you talk to me about those if you're comfortable?
Yeah, yeah. So I guess first and foremost, I wouldn't necessarily consider myself Christian in terms of at least in the organized religious sense.
Hmm.
Um, I do consider myself a follower of Christ. I believe in God. I believe Jesus died on the cross for us.
Mm,
So, but the way I put it is like I believe in like the Abrahamic philosophies or Abrahamic religion.
mm.
So, uh, I don't think it's fair as Christians that we just look at the Bible. I think we should also be looking at older Hebrew texts, or also look at why do the Muslims like the Islam they think that they why do they believe what they believe in? It's not fair that we just judge other people's belief systems without really looking into why they believe in what they believe in.
Got you. Yeah, I feel that. Is it easy for you to be able to get into the heads of other people and like
I'd say so.
things from their perspective kind of thing?
Yeah.
Got you. Okay. And what about dissecting information? Is that something that also comes easily to you?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm a very data driven person. So I just like usually and I hate that I do this sometimes. Like usually when I meet other people, I'm breaking them down on a very fundamental level,
Mm.
and that's not something I intentionally do. That's just a habit that I think is just built up over time.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about that, like how that happens?
So I think so this happens. I guess this happens more in one-on-one dynamic situations. Actually, okay, I can kind of use Puerto Rico for example. And this happened in a group setting, and this is what kind of where I started to take notice more of it. But kind of met a guy, and you can kind of tell. Well, he's the way he's carrying himself, the way he is. He seems to be like the leader of his group, so to speak. Just the extroverted one of the group. But in terms of the way he's telling his stories, you could feel like he can't tell like, okay, he kind of wants other people to think that he's the man, for example. So you break apart like why people are telling a specific story or why people behaving that they are. He's also someone who was very animated in his movement, so I also took it that he was a very passionate person. So just those small things that in people's behavior that tend to I just take note of it and think about, put it in the back of my head.
Got you. Okay, cool. Makes sense. Even though you said that you're not really much of a planner and everything, you did say that you think about the future a lot. How far out into the future do you think?
I could think years into the future. It really depends. Like I have plans set out for 2 months into the future. I have a plan set out for 5 months into the future, and I have a vision for what I want my 40s and 50s to look like.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the type of I'm very like I can see really far, but sometimes the steps to get there aren't so clear.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit more about that. All of what you just said.
Okay.
What do you mean by that?
So I just like in terms of my short term, because I'll try to do my 2-month planning, like goals for the 2 months. That usually never works out for me in the short term, just because I just respond to like what I want to do in the immediate moment usually, and try to. I can be really bad at prioritizing.
Okay.
So I really just do things depending on what I want to do. That's why plans don't really work for me because I'm just probably not going to follow a plan. That's why the best way for me when I schedule is to just keep it vague. So keeping it vague kind of helps me set the priorities a bit easier because I'll know I'll have some random time to myself where if I see something that I want to do, I can do it.
Okay. So the plans that you said that you have, like 2 months to 6 months to however long.
Yeah, they're more like visions for myself than concrete plans.
Okay. Can you you don't have to tell me what they are if you don't want to, but can you tell me like the mechanics of that? Like how do you describe like a vision versus like a concrete plan kind of thing?
So I guess I can take like where I see myself 5 years from now because I want to be an established engineer who lives and I want to move to Virginia and live in the mountains. Nice. And so it's just like I see that for myself, but I haven't necessarily laid out specific steps on how to get there. I'll put a vague plan on there. So like I have, I just recently did my goals for 2023, what I wanted to focus on because I'll do yearly goals and try to work on it towards them like that. And I'll set those yearly goals kind of towards what those long-term plans look like. Or long-term vision. So it's like, okay, I know I want this for myself when I hit 50. What do I got to do this year to kind of lead me towards that?
Okay.
Kind of just check in from time to time. Am I doing those things, or is there something I could focus more on, rather than specifically, okay, this day I'm going to work on this. This day I'm going to work on that.
Got you. Okay, makes sense. And you said that you're not really good with prioritizing. Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
So school has been kind of hard for me to prioritize in a sense. And it's not that, I don't want to be an engineer. It's just, it's hard to kind of see the value in school for me right now. So it doesn't, in my mind, doesn't really seem as important. And no matter how badly I want to be an engineer, school sometimes just seems really mundane. I think a lot of people feel that in general.
Got you. Did you? Oh, were you about to say something?
No, yeah, and it's like it doesn't. So for prioritizing for me, something has to feel extremely immediate for me. So essentially, like the deadline has to be right there for me to get to do something usually.
Okay. So you're more of a person who likes to work well under pressure?
Yeah,
Like,
I
don't
tend to
mind-
work under pressure. Yeah,
okay.
I
So
can't be bored.
you do wait until like the deadline's like come closing in before
Yeah,
you.
I feel
Okay.
like I work better under pressure.
Got you. Is school, even though like you feel this way about school, is it hard for you? Kind of easy for you, or like?
School's always actually been hard for me. It just
Okay.
didn't never. Some people wouldn't necessarily think that
Ah,
because of the type of student I was. But school is something that has always been difficult for me.
got you. What made it so difficult?
Not a good organizer. Don't like listening in lectures. That's primarily that, and I'm better at learning. I feel like on my own, isolated from everything around me, taking the time to learn things on my own, um, or within a small classroom setting. So a lot of the lectures that I've had in the past that were in like large lecture halls, I felt the need to drop because it's either I have had trouble sitting there for the whole hour, 30 minute, 2 hour lecture. And sometimes the content that I'm hearing just doesn't stick in my head. So I have to take time on my own, regardless, to try to learn what was talked about in class.
Got you. Okay.
Now, I can learn depending on the professor. If the professor's teaching in such a way that's extremely step by step, and I can take notes on it, I'm really good at taking notes. But it has to be in such a way that the professor has to like completely break down what he's talking about.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm just piecing everything together in my head.
Yeah, this is why I said I don't really know where I fall in line in the personality.
No, it's all good. It's all good. That's why I'm here. So it's all good for sure. Would you say that it's easy for you to get into action?
No,
Or yeah, I mean
no.
no. Like, why would you say that?
And so it doesn't really matter how important it could be to do something. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to do it. Like it could be, I don't know, like it could. It almost feels like it has to be something life or death, or like internally I have to perceive it as something life or death for me to actually get to do it.
Mm, mm, mm. Why do you think that is?
A lot of things are boring. I think I just find a lot of things boring.
Got it. What things do you find fun?
Moving around, working out, martial arts, thinking about abstract concepts, building things, working with my hands, learning new things. I used to do photography a lot. I used to do automotive photography. Take pictures of cars pretty often. A lot of performance cars. On that note, I really like cars. So I do when I get the chance, if anything's wrong on my car, I'll do it myself rather than take it to a mechanic.
Ah, oh, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, you like you said, you're good with your hands and stuff like that.
So yeah, I really grew up to be Tails.
Yeah, I'm laughing at that. That is so funny. That is so funny. Okay. Um, wow, I seeded that in you.
Mhm.
That is awesome. um, Would you say that you're good with being able to tell when people are lying to themselves?
Yeah,
What
I
makes
would
you
think
say
so.
that?
I think a lot of times people aren't honest with themselves, and usually you hear it in their voice. You usually hear it in their voice or the little hesitation that they bring out. Um, I don't know when I picked up on it. When people lie to you can also feel the restriction. When people are not being honest with themselves, you can feel like how they're restricting themselves from saying certain things, the hesitation on whether they want to say it or not, or you can feel kind of like the pain in recalling that memory.
Mm,
You can see it in their facial expressions and their structure. Yeah, it's just things that I tend to notice.
got you. Got you. Would you say that you, and this isn't obviously to put you in the spot or anything, but would you say that you were someone who's honest with yourself?
I think I can't help but be honest with myself. I know when I'm lying to myself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Tell me
and
that.
yeah. So even if I do lie to myself, I feel like I'll notice the restriction that I'm feeling.
Mhm.
In terms of I could be like if it's a if I'm thinking about something like whether I should I don't know how to put it like if there's something within my childhood like I feel like I do a lot of introspection
Mhm.
a lot of times. So if I feel like, for instance, I've been doing a lot of thinking on my childhood on whether certain things have affected me or not, and I tend to notice the resistance that I have towards a particular thing I'm thinking about, or if it's um maybe in a social dynamic too. I feel like in social dynamics, I don't know. I don't know how I can't really speak on that one right now. I don't think I've done enough observation on that.
No, yeah, okay. No problem.
But
Um,
definitely in terms of the way like if I'm feeling something about myself, I tend to just try to let myself feel that emotion, whether to instead of putting on a front on what that it could be.
mm, got you. Okay. All right. And this may be my final question. Um, if you had a magic wand and you
Mhm.
could change anything about the world and about yourself, pretty much, what would those things or that thing be?
I just want people to get along. That's basically it. I just want people to get along, and I want people to, I guess, be a bit more open minded on the experiences other people may be going through. I feel like we tend to be harsh on other people. Like we might say or do something without considering, like this person may be going through something right now. Like we sometimes forget, like human beings go through a lot on a day to day basis. Our lives are. I feel like human existence is just a lot of suffering in general in a lot of different ways.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
if people were just kinder to each other, we alleviate some of that suffering a little bit.
Got you. Got you. Okay.
And I guess changing myself, maybe patience. Wish I was a little more patient.
Mm, that's something that you struggle with.
I feel like, yeah, I think, and this, I guess there's less patience with other people, more patience with myself.
Mm,
I tend to put a lot of expectation on myself.
got you. Okay. All right. Cool. I'm gonna just take a last scan through this real quick.
Mhm.
How much time alone would you say that you need to to feel like you're a complete person? Um,
I require a lot of time alone. A lot of time alone. I'm usually I'm fine with doing. That's another thing too. Like I've been recently finding a lot of enjoyment actually interacting with other people
Okay.
and being social, but still, I think just being by myself more times than not is where I'm most comfortable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
You've always, from what I remember, you've always been an introverted kid. So,
yeah.
but it is funny though, because when you were talking about how like, oh yeah, like I was a troublemaker and stuff like that. Um, to me, you never seemed that way. You always seemed like a really good kid. So
No, and I think I was, but it was a lot of impulsive anger because it wasn't just
mm,
church where that would come out. So in school, if I got in trouble, it was because I got angry about something
got
wrong.
you.
Yeah,
What tended to get you angry?
not having my way. I think it was just that.
Got you. Got you. Mm. Okay. My final question.
Mhm.
When thinking about the future, does it often give you anxiety or excitement?
I think it's both, but oftentimes more anxiety.
Mm. Why is that?
Um, Definitely have some perfectionist complexes and have, like I said, a lot of expectations for myself.
Mm.
So it's just a lot of times too when I think about the future, it's like, okay, can I actually reach the goals that I'm trying to reach? Or yeah, can I actually get there? Can I do what I want to do in terms of, like, for example, I want to be able to essentially retire my parents because they want to go back to kind of school. It's like, okay, I want them to be able to live comfortably when they go back. And
Mm.
something to think about, am I actually able to provide that for them?
Got you. Got you. Okay. All right. Okay. I've been on the nose of a type, um, and I'm going to explain it to you
Hmm.
now. Uh, actually, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and write it down, and then we can go through the verification process. Um, but yeah, there's another type that Sorry,
Hmm.
slept late last night. But yeah, I'm just also making sure that you aren't a different type that's similar,
Hmm.
at least a little bit in behavior. But in cognition they're pretty different. But I feel like you're not that type. Uh yeah, I just wanted to make sure as I went through your what you have here that it wasn't like contradicting. Um
Okay.
and it wasn't you necessarily, So anyway, all that to say, I've written down what type that I believe that you might be.
Hmm.
So now that it's written down, I would like to know more about like your type journey.
Okay.
Anything that you feel like, you still maybe haven't told me yet that might be important to know. And, you know, yeah, how you even like got it interested, stuff like that.
Hmm. Um. So just anything that I feel like, if any relevant information I feel like you may need.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, like how did you get into type? What
Psychology.
type do you believe that you are, stuff like that.
So when I initially did the Myers Briggs test, I got INTJ,
Mm,
um, which for me at the time made sense because I think high school I was a very much a rational, logical thinker in terms of my behavior, but I also think a lot of that just came from repressing my like emotions and feeling other things around me because it was just hard to handle. So I think I just spent a lot of time rationalizing as a way to not feel emotion.
Hmm. Mm.
So, hmm. I do feel like I might be leaning more towards the INFJ or INFP category.
Why do you think that?
Because I didn't. I was probably after college. I started to, or after high school, I started to realize I was like, wow, I'm really prone to other people's emotions, or like, wow, I'm really aware of the type of emotions I'm feeling, or at least now I'm more aware of the emotions I'm feeling.
Mm.
Now that I've at least come to accept my like the way I've grown up, my childhood, and the way I interact with other people too. I really think I think a lot of my interactions just more like I'm like, how does this person respond? How did they react when we talk about this? The type of conversations that I like to have.
Mm. Mm. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got you. All right. So the type that I actually, as of right now, think that you might be is ISTP.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. So I'm about to go ahead and
Okay,
explain. Actually, let's do it this way. Do you
that's
have,
kind of
yeah.
just to mention real quick. It's interesting because when I took the test on the website, like the introverted part was extremely. It was like 70% introvert, but
Mhm.
everything else was fairly almost to the 50% range.
Yeah.
Just
You know
like,
what?
okay, I really don't know what type of person I am now.
Yeah, and it makes sense too because that's actually like the main thing that you are solid on throughout this whole session is I'm an introvert, okay? And
Yeah, that's
and from knowing you especially as like a child and everything like that, it's like, yeah, no, that I'm certain of for sure.
I
But
do I do feel like to mention, I feel like
mhm,
I think a lot of reasons I feel like I lean towards the inside intuitive side of things. I feel like I tend to rely. I feel like I usually have an inherent understanding of things and how they operate and function.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
and it's not that I won't do the background research on things. I just try to. I think I just tend to try to rely on my own understanding of something to really come to a conclusion or a concept.
Yeah, I definitely get that impression from you. I actually want to write that down real quick. So it's pretty hard for other people to convince you sometimes of things. Is that right?
I would say so. Like if it's something against my belief system, it can be really hard to convince me.
Mm,
Which is why I try to have I've taken steps to try to have a more open mind about things.
got you. Okay. So, yeah, introversion very evident. But everything else like the S versus N, T versus F, P versus J, all of that, like you were like,
It's really I don't know if like I guess like I could mention it now. My diagnosis with ADD or ADHD.
mm,
I don't know if
mm.
that could possibly have a factor towards that.
That always makes profiling sessions a lot more difficult. That is very
Mhm.
true. But I just try to make the best with what I'm given here, and so yeah. Um, I think that this will at least be like a really good start for
Yeah.
something for you to like look at, and then we can have a follow up session after you look at it after some time because what I'm about to explain to you now, it's gonna give you a really good deep dive of like what this is really like all about.
Hmm.
So everyone usually really knows about the dichotomies when it comes to the Myers-Briggs. So like I versus E, S versus N,
Hmm.
T versus F, P versus J. So we'll go through that just real quick, but then we're gonna get to like the meat of everything.
Gotcha.
So I think that you are an I instead of an E. So that stands for introvert. Introverts are people who the real world for them is their internal world. Usually we hear that introverts are the people who, like, introverts get their energy from being to themselves, and then extroverts get their energy from being like with people and stuff like
Hmm.
that. I personally do not agree with that 100%. I think that it's more likely that it's more accurate to say that introverts, the real world for them is internal,
I
whereas
agree.
like extroverts, the real world for them is external. Where do you focus your energy at? So
Yeah,
an
that makes
extrovert, yeah. So there are extroverts who are actually they're not very social people and they are very quiet and everything. but their focus of energy is on the external world of getting things done. Or there are extroverts who, like they're very bombastic with like ideas and everything like that. There's extroverts who are more of like thrill seekers, like Sonic, for example. Like, I think that he's
Yeah.
an ESTP. And you see him in shows and everything like that. Like, he's often like, hanging out by himself sometimes and like sleeping, doing whatever he's doing.
Yeah, doing his own thing.
Yeah. But what he's really focused on, like the reason why I put the E over there is because his main focus is on extroverted sensation. So like the thrill of things and like,
Right.
just, focus on like, the external world of like adrenaline and stuff of that nature.
Got it.
Even if it doesn't really have to do with people. So that's kind of like what it is. But for an
Okay,
introvert,
makes sense.
yeah. But for an introvert, it seems like they are more in tune with like, how do I feel about things, or what is my logical system internally about things, things of that nature. They're just like focused more on their internal world in that regard.
Right.
So that's what I believe that you are. I feel like you would not disagree with that part.
Not at all.
Yeah. Now, sensing versus intuition. This one, I think that it might be a little bit tricky for you, but I think that later on more I'll explain it, and then we'll see how it fits for you. So for intuitives, these are the people who are usually very good at like abstract concepts and philosophical thinking, and always thinking about like what's behind the curtain,
Right.
and thinking like of a whole bunch of different ideas, and slash or they are thinking very like ahead into the future, all about symbolism, stuff like that. And so they're trying to like really focus on pattern recognition, whereas sensors, these are people who are more focused on what's reliable and what's verifiable, what's factual, what's concrete. They tend to speak in a more literal manner. They are also people who are focused a lot of times like on aesthetics and doing things with their hands, and being in tune with their body, stuff like that. Now, I think that you're actually pretty good with both. So that's something that, like you getting the 50-50 over there, like I can understand that. And we're going to get into it, and I'll explain why I still would say S over N. But one thing you should know is that everybody's has a sensing function, and everyone has an intuitive function. Everyone has a thinking function, everyone has a feeling function. So this is, that's kind of like how it is there. And I think that your sensing and your intuition function are both, very prominent. It's very evident there. So that's what I think. T versus F. So for thinkers tend to make their decisions based off of metrics, data, interpersonal things of that nature, whereas feelers, they tend to make decisions based off of either how they feel, what their values are, or how it's going to influence and affect the group. Once again, every thinker feels, every feeler thinks,
Right.
but it's just more of like, where is it in your stacking kind of thing. And I do think, at least as of right now, that you are more of a thinker who has developed his feeling function. And then lastly, P versus J. So perceivers, so a judger, they pretty much organize their external realm so that they can have freedom in their internal realm. Whereas like perceivers, they keep their external realm like very like free and open and everything like that. So they can have they keep their internal realm very like organized and everything like that. So their external world, they can have like freedom. And so judges tend to be like very organized and planned and things of that nature. And then perceivers tend to be the ones that are like more exploratory and spontaneous to an extent, and just kind of like going with the flow.
Sounds very accurate.
Yeah. So I'm leaning more ISTP for you with the dichotomies over here. However, the meat of all of this is where it comes to the cognitive functions. And this is what most people who talk about Myers-Briggs and everything, they don't really know about this a lot of times. So the people who we run into is like, oh, well, it's fake and yada, yada, yada. This is where once you explain this part to them, then they start to go, oh, I see now. So do you have a paper and pencil by any chance?
You can grab one. I think it's all right next to me.
Sure. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So on your paper, I would write like really big, like across, because I'm about to evangelize to you. No, but for real, I would draw like a 4 square kind of thing, because you're going to be pretty much writing in like a 4-passenger car. We're going to describe the mental processes that you have as like a 4-passenger car, kind of like from the movie Inside Out, if you've ever seen it. Yeah. So this is essentially how it's like. So every personality type has 4 cognitive functions. There are 8 cognitive functions in total, but we're only going to talk about the 4 that you, if you are truly an ISTP, from what I'm seeing, have. So there's a driver function, there's a co-pilot function, and right behind the co-pilot, there's a 10-year-old, and then right behind the driver, there's a 3-year-old. So the driver function is your strongest one. And as an ISTP, this one would be called Introverted Thinking. The shorthand for that is TI. So in our group chat, you probably see us throw around these words every now and then, or like shorthands, like, oh, I'm using NI or blah, 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 or like, well, as an NE user, this, that. So you're right now, you're about to learn a little bit of that shorthand. Right. So Introverted Thinking, or TI, is also nicknamed Accuracy by Personality Hacker. And the reason why it's nicknamed Accuracy is because this function is all about pretty much figuring out, okay, what is logically consistent, what is true, what makes sense to me. So that thing that you said toward the end, which was funny because I had already deemed you to be ISTP, and then you kind of even further validated it by specifically saying, I tend to rely on my own understanding of things. Yeah, that's a very introverted thinking or TI way of like viewing things. Introverted thinking is essentially, how does things make sense to me regardless of what anybody else might think? And this is probably also why you value, one of the things that you said that you really respect is thinking for yourself, which is another very introverted thinking thing. But then also you can people who can enjoy their own company and a strong sense of self. So it seems like, people who have like their own logical systems and stuff of that nature, like that's something that seems to really appeal to you as an introverted thinker type. And it's like, as I'm seeing when should I bring it? Okay. Hopefully this isn't going to be too much, but then again, I'm recording this for you, so you can always come back. And
for sure.
I know you said like during like lectures and stuff like that, you sometimes don't get it all, and I know it's about to be a lot of information, but it'll make sense over time.
I have my notebook here, so that should be cool.
Perfect. All right. So introverted thinking always comes with extroverted feeling, which is going to be your 3-year-old function.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about extroverted feeling last, but I just wanted to let you know that there are always 2 sides of the same coin. And in the same sense, extroverted sensing is always going to come with introverted intuition. So extroverted sensing is your co-pilot, and then introverted intuition would be your 10-year-old. So right behind the co-pilot. Yeah. So that's going to be helpful for later. So anyway, introverted thinking, TI/accuracy is all about, okay, what do I think that regardless of whatever the group feels about it, whatever the group thinks about it, all of that, what makes sense to me? What is my personal opinion? How can I continue to sharpen this and everything? And then your co-pilot function is extroverted sensing. It's also nicknamed sensation by Personality Hacker, and its shorthand is SE. This function is all about jumping into action. It's all about being in tune with your body being aware of your surroundings. Um, Oftentimes, it's aware of like aesthetics, stuff like that.
Hmm.
It's also about like what is just factual, like what can we all like. It's a unified reality. What are we all looking at that nobody has to think deep about its meaning or anything like that? We can all just look at this and agree.
And de facto truth.
That's empiric.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So when you have this function with introverted thinking, then pretty much this comes for a drive of like what is true about the world. I know that what's true is that when I use this wrench and I twist it this way,
Mhm.
it's gonna bolt in, whatever, like it's gonna fix the car in this manner. Uh,
Right.
and I know that okay, whatever is true is that when I look outside and I see the grass, it's green, unless if somebody hasn't been taking care of their lawn. But
Right.
usually this is what we can all see. We don't have to like argue about it. It's just plain and simple right there.
Hmm.
Now, right behind extroverted sensing is introverted intuition, also known as perspectives or NI for shorthand. So this is the flip side coin of extroverted sensing. And it being the flip side coin is pretty much like it's the opposite. So if extroverted sensing is all about let's jump into action, let's look at things for what they are, what is the unified reality, let's actually experience it, let's touch it with our hands, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Introverted intuition is more of let's hang back. Let's think about this. Let's future pace. Let's hop into their mind instead of directly experiencing. Um, let's think about the meaning behind this, rather than what is just right in front of us. Let's think about the symbolism, all of the things over there. So introverted intuition, for people who have it as a strength, these are the people who are usually thinking very far into the future, and they really are focused on symbolism and the abstractions and things of that nature. And they're also pretty much like, like when you sit in church, for example,
Right.
and you have like, and the preacher says something and it strikes thought A, then thought B, thought C, thought D, like E, all the way down over like to thought Q. Then you're like, wait a minute, how the heck did I get here? Essentially,
Hmm.
introverted intuition, people who have it especially as a strength, like the higher up that it is. So if it's a co-pilot or a driver, especially, naturally your mind will retrace its process from Q all the way back to A. And then it's going to be like, oh, this is how A and Q are correlated. And so then when you speak to somebody who mentions E, then your mind would naturally be like, Q? And they're like, whoa, how the heck did you know that? Because they're just, like what's
Yeah.
to their head in that way. Now, because you, again, if you are an ISTP, have this as a 10-year-old function, it's still there. 10-year-olds still say strong things and everything like that. But it's not as proficient as your co-pilot, which is an adult, and especially your driver. So you don't want the 10-year-old driving your car. The tendency that people of your type tend to have is that everybody tends to skip their co-pilot. And the reason why is because their co-pilot has the opposite attitude of their driver. So if your driver is an introvert, then your co-pilot is going to be an extrovert. If your driver is an extrovert, then your co-pilot is going to be an introvert. That's how we have balance in life, and that's how we have people who claim to be ambiverted, for example.
That
So,
makes a lot of sense.
yeah,
Because I would say I kind of like now with the way I've been just kind of enjoying socializing, kind of felt like I was reaching that ambivert type of personality.
exactly, exactly, exactly. And so your TI accuracy will tend to skip over extroverted sensing and go right over to introverted intuition.
Mhm.
And it's going to be like, hey, instead of us directly working at this with our hands and directly experiencing it and, directly like, going out and actually like engaging and getting the experience, whatever, let's sit back and let's just think. Let's just keep on thinking. Think ourselves all the way down to oblivion. Like, we're going to think about what this means. We're going to think about our future over here. We're going to keep on cutting this down. We're going to probably like, do a little bit of research over here to like further, check out our thinking and everything like that. And a lot of times, thinking is good,
Hmm.
but if you're not bringing in that co-pilot of let me actually get out into the world and
Right.
experience, then you're going to be very limited with the things that you're thinking, because you, especially with someone of your personality type, like you need that external experience.
Hmm.
Now it's very clear that you're getting,
Validate things.
yes, it's very clear that you're getting into that. Like, you're with martial arts, you're working with your hands when it comes to engineering. So TI again is all about like how do things like logically fit together, but
Hmm.
also when it's married with SE, that co-pilot of extroverted sensation, then it's also like, okay, how do things go together physically? So that engineering thing, spot on for you. It's like, oh, if I put this here, then this is how that works. And this Lego, put this here. And like, oh,
Yeah.
if I shift my body in this way, then I can get a better grapple of this person in that way. You'll
I
see a
guess
lot.
that's why like certain martial arts have always come easy for me. That I like the movement and the feeling of it.
Hmm. Exactly. That's exactly what I was picking up from that. Whereas for an INTJs, by the way, a lot of times they can be into martial arts as
Hmm.
well, but their extroverted sensation would be their 3-year-old. And it seemed like that was something that was too strong and apparent for you to
Hmm.
be something that's a 3-year-old. Like it seems like your extroverted sensation is pretty strong. And on top of that, INTJs, of course, are judges. That doesn't mean they're always organized, but they don't like things just popping up for them. That's actually because of their extroverted sensation. As a 3-year-old, they don't like that. Like so, they want everything like really planned out and focused. Same with INFJs, because they don't do well. Like that extroverted sensation is the part of you that
Hmm.
when something pops up, then you can be spontaneous and respond to it. So if you have it as a 3-year-old, you don't like that because you want to be able to know everything that's coming up ahead so that
Hmm.
you can, manage in that way. So an INTJ/INFJ, it's very, very unlikely for them to be like, yeah, I kind of thrive in chaos. Like,
Yeah, no, that's like I think I definitely exist within chaos.
yeah,
Some
yeah,
sense of
yeah.
chaos.
Yeah, that's a very perceiver thing to say. On top of that, like very high extroverted sensing or extroverted intuition, which
Mhm.
extroverted intuition is a different function. That's more for like INTPs and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But yeah, I'm
Then
seeing
I have
extroverted.
a quick question.
Yeah, sure. What's up?
So when I recently both took the test, most recently, which I think was like some months ago, I got INTP. Why
Hmm.
do you think would have given me that?
So I think it's because your introverted intuition part of you, so that
Mhm.
10-year-old, you're really tapped into it. I see that for you. So I think that it's clear that, I believed you when you said that. No, like talking about abstract and philosophical conversations, like they're my favorite kind of thing. Like
Mhm.
we can actually enjoy our 10-year-old function a lot. We actually tend to go to our 10-year-old function in times of play. So for me as an ENFJ,
Mhm.
my 10-year-old function is actually extroverted sensation. So it's funny that, for me, like for us, like
Wow,
when
that's interesting because I would think that would be like your co-pilot function or something, like some sort of primary function.
right, yeah, like no, for me, like that's it's fun for me to like, like how we were like as kids, like playing and all of that and everything. But then I haven't really pursued martial arts. Like I haven't really like prioritized it so much. I was trying to last year, and then I ended up going for more nerdy stuff instead. I
That's
ended up
that's funny how
spending
that
my money there.
works. Like
Yeah,
I consider myself a much bigger nerd, like in middle school, and then now it's like I'm an adult. Like I'm into fitness. Like I've just recently started going back to gym. I can't stay out the gym for a long time.
there
It's
it is.
very hard.
That extroverted sensation co-pilot. Whereas like for me, I was going to the extroverted sensation 10-year-old for me
Hmm.
for play. So when I was younger, I was way more into like all the playing, like basketball, whatever, sure. And I still like to go there in times of play. So extroverted sensing is still a part of me. I'm still, into like fashion, for example, stuff like that.
Hmm.
But I can't really like build my life on that like too much. I spend most of my time actually in the introverted intuition part of me, which is
I
my
can see that.
co-pilot. Yeah. So when it like so the co-pilot for me, so me and your co-pilot and 10-year-old is switched. Yeah. And so I now later on
Mhm.
in life, I'm like way more into the, oh, what are the patterns? What does this mean? What does that mean? And I'm just over here like, diving deeper and deeper in that way. Whereas you're over there getting brolic and and like dang, like and I'm trying to like go to the gym every now. I went to the gym last night, so I
Uh-huh.
was proud of myself. But
Hey, let's see. You're in the gym. Most people can't even say that.
look, but that's the thing though. I'm very inconsistent when it comes to the
Mhm.
gym. So, that's something that's like difficult for me because I guess that 10-year-old, it's
Mhm.
still like it'll come up like, like, oh, let's go play, let's go roller skate, let's go do this, whatever. But at the end of the day, what's really going to always come back to me is just focusing on that perspectives, that introverted intuition, what's going on in other people's heads, and like always like thinking of the meaning behind that and like spending time there. And then I'm like, dang, I need to probably try to get more into the gym too, kind of.
Right.
Yeah. So
Huh.
so yeah, for you, I see like both of these are very strong for you. But yeah, the reason why you wouldn't be an INTP is because, like I said, INTPs. So remember how I said there's 8 cognitive processes?
Mhm.
So the tests, they're just testing for if you're intuitive or not. But they're not really looking at which cognitive processes are you looking for. So there's a math to this. INTPs, they don't have sensation and they don't have the coin of sensation and perspectives slash introverted intuition and extroverted sensing in their function stack. Instead, they have extroverted intuition as their co-pilot and then introverted sensing as their 10-year-old. And that's a whole different kind
That
of,
type of functionality.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And throughout this session, you did not really display any extroverted intuition or introverted sensing. You definitely are more of the introverted intuition and extroverted sensing. So yeah, and as you continue to learn more about this, then you'll start to learn more about those other 4 functions that we won't be describing in this. But yeah, that's why the test probably just saw that you were really intuitive. So that's why I
Mhm.
gave you the N, but it didn't test for which kind of intuition are you using,
Right.
extroverted intuition or introverted intuition. So yeah, and to me, I can definitely see that you're using introverted intuition, and introverted intuition is not being used by the INTP in their immediate stack. So then you can't be an INTP in the way. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
It makes a lot more sense when you describe the sub functions.
yeah. That's how it makes. Yeah, that's definitely like the meat of all of it. Because when you're looking at like, oh well, I'm 96% intuitive, and this is that. Like it doesn't really work that
It
way.
doesn't tell the whole story.
Yeah, I knew people who would say things like, I'm, an ENFJ or ENFP, but sometimes my P is a little bit more than my J. And the thing is, an ENFP and an ENFJ, that the 4 functions are
Mhm.
completely opposite. So it's kind of
Okay.
like pretty much saying that, oh, some days I'm a MacBook, but then some days I'm also a PC. It's like, well,
Yeah, you're not really different. You just need to understand how the other functions operate within you.
exactly, exactly. So your last function, your 3-year-old function as an ISTP,
Mhm.
and if you are, is called extroverted feeling or harmony. So this is all about getting people's needs met. This is all about pretty much understanding the emotional interplay between people, social dynamics.
Mhm.
The way that I often like to describe it is knowing the exact buttons to push in the exact order to get an emotional reaction from an individual or from a group. So this is the part of you that also, as a 3-year-old, it brings out your temper tantrums. this is
Makes
this is
sense.
a part of, yeah. People of your type, they tend to be really cool, laid back until they get angry. And then all of that feeling in that 3-year-old function is just like,
Comes out.
"Ugh." Yeah, exactly. Like Wolverine
Mhm.
from X-Men, he's an ISTP.
That's probably why I like the show Overeat so much.
Yeah, like and you watch him, and you see how, like, he's like this grumpy man, and he says what's on his mind and everything like that. But clearly he's also a hero, because
Hmm.
our 3-year-old tends to be our aspiration function. So there's a part of Wolverine that's like, hey, I do want harmony in this world. I do want to be better with people. I do want to continue to understand how people interplay and everything like that. But they have to put conscious effort to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and because if we go to our 10-year-old for play, then
Hmm.
our 3-year-old is going to be a place of stress a lot of times. Not always, but usually when we're stressed out, this is where our 3-year-old comes out. So for an ISTP, then this is the part where once again you're throwing temper tantrums, especially if things don't go your way, if you're in a group and everyone's kind of like imposing their thoughts and how they think that you should be, whatever it might be. That's
Hmm.
going to piss you off because you desire autonomy. You
If I
want to
could
think
cut you
for
off real quick, I was
your.
really just telling someone like I don't how I much I dislike the idea of what people want me to be. I just want to be myself.
Exactly, exactly. And I feel like that's that extroverted feeling 3-year-old function that's there for you and everything like that. But like I said, it's not just the place that you go to for stress, but
Hmm.
it's also a place where it's aspiring for you. So the funny thing is, it comes with harmony. So that's the coin. So for you, like what I said, introverted thinking as your sorry, uh it comes with accuracy. That's
Hmm.
the coin. Yeah. So your driver and your 3-year-old are the coin, and then your co-pilot and your 10-year-old are also the coin. So if your accuracy is always thinking, okay, what do I think aside from what everybody else thinks, even if it might hurt their feelings, whatever, what makes logical sense, then your 3-year-old harmony is like, well, what does everyone think? And how does it make everyone feel? And how can I fit in? What are the social cues? How can I meet everybody's needs? Stuff like that. How can I make people happy? And so sometimes accuracy and harmony can get into a fight because your
Hmm.
harmony is like, well, I want to fit in. I want to help people. I want to, like, keep everyone, like, harmonious and everything like that. But then the accuracy is like, no, we have to say the truth. We
Yeah.
have, we have to tell people what we really think. This is
Yeah.
what makes logical sense to us. And so that's why I think that it's really difficult for you, where it's like, okay, I don't really want to hurt people's feelings, but my accuracy just has to tell people what the
Yeah.
truth is or what my truth is. Because
Hmm.
just because you're shooting for accuracy doesn't mean
Doesn't
that it's always
necessarily mean
accurate.
that it's like. Mhm.
Yeah. So even like with recent events, you have the research and everything to back it up, like you said, like, oh, well, I've done the research over here and blah, 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 blah. But it's possible that you might have not gotten enough into your extroverted sensation to experience full hand right there. Oh, there are some women who are, more,
Mhm.
we don't have to go
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. We don't. Well,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, because you're going, like, once again, you said it, oh, I tend to rely on my own understanding of things. Then it's like, well, my accuracy is this, that. And then your harmony is like, hey, Charles, I don't think that we should be saying that. And it's like looking around at people, like, kind of getting upset. But your accuracy is like, so, hypothetically or philosophically, or like according to research and data and blah, 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 blah. And then your
Mhm.
accuracy looks around and it sees that all these women are
People are.
upset with you. And it's like,
Mhm.
I'm just spitting the facts. and, and your harmony is like, yeah, there's a time and place to spit facts. And on top of that, we don't always know what's really factual. So that's where, when you continue to work
I
to
think
become more
that's.
healthy. Mhm.
I think that's the part of me that, like the extroverted feeling of me, that's always looking for like new things to bounce off on in terms of
Yes.
information and data.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So once you really get these two to integrate, then now you'll be able to manage tact and truth, because you're going to have, and also the biggest way to get to your 3-year-old is through your co-pilot. So personality hacker, which I highly recommend their site. I highly recommend their podcast. They are amazing. That's where I did my
I think
profile
you put it
training.
in the group chat too.
Yeah, yeah. I really like them a lot. But I'll also send you some other sites that you can check out too, like psychologyjunkie.com. I think that
Hmm.
the person who runs that like has really great articles too. A lot of them are funny and stuff like that. And then of course, there's my YouTube videos. So yeah. But
I need to watch the movie.
oh yeah, now that you understand the technicalities a little bit more, then it'll make a lot more sense to you for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, your extroverted sensing as your co-pilot is going to be the easiest access for you to your 3-year-old function of extroverted feeling, because your extroverted sensing is going to get you out there more with people, to experience people more, and getting into action and stuff like that, rather than going rather than having your introverted thinking and your introverted intuition just get into cahoots and be like, well, this is my logical research and this is what I think and this that. We don't
Mhm.
have to actually go out and experience it because it's all right here on the computer. you know
Right.
so
But it's
yeah,
important to get the full, the full picture of it.
exactly. So essentially, yeah, that is your cognitive function stack. The driver is introverted thinking slash ti slash accuracy, and the place that you should always be working on is your extroverted sensing slash se, nicknamed sensation. Right behind that is introverted intuition slash ni, also known as perspectives. And then lastly is extroverted feeling, also nicknamed as harmony. Shorthand is fe. And that's the cognitive function of stack of the ISTP, which, funny enough, is the same. You have the same exact cognitive functions as I do, but it's all reversed.
Do you
So
think do you think a lot of that has to do with like our Sonic Tails dynamic as a kid?
I definitely think so. Although was I think that Tails is either ISFJ or
Mhm.
INTP. I always still have a hard time. Uh,
He was a very emotional character.
yeah, he could be ISFJ. But and the interesting thing about ISFJ and INTP is that they have the same
Mhm.
mental processes as well. So I'm just like, okay, I don't really know the exact way to put it. But when
Mhm.
you're really like healthy, then I guess like the equivalent for ISFJ and yeah, the equivalent would be ISTP, INFJ. So it makes sense then for you that you're like, oh, well, I couldn't tell if I was an INTJ or if I was an INFJ because INFJs have the same exact functions as ISTPs do. So
Okay.
you saying that you couldn't tell if you were an INFJ is the same way that if Tails was an INTP, he'd be like, yeah, I don't know if I'm an ISFJ, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and so the only thing with the INFJs is that they lead their driver function is introverted intuition. And then their 3-year-old function is extroverted sensing. Their co-pilot function is harmony, that extroverted feeling. And then their 10-year-old function is introverted thinking, the accuracy. So
Okay.
yeah. So it's all about like just knowing like, okay, which order does this come into and everything like that. Um, but yeah, I think that it is interesting that that was our dynamic. I wouldn't have expected that for
No,
you
me neither.
when we were younger, but it does definitely make sense.
Mhm.
And even like with your interest in photography too, like that was also something I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Of course, any type can get into photography, but I think that STP types are the types that really are very good with like, oh, I want to capture because that extroverted sensation. It's like I want to capture this moment and
Mhm.
how it looks like, and it's kind of like an art for them
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
that they tend to make. Yeah, and I feel like that's something that's like really like spot on for you. So, yeah, does that make sense so far?
It makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of these were pretty much hit the nail on the head.
Awesome.
And it makes sense for why I felt like, and when it originally took the test to put me an INFJ,
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
despite the overlap with the NFJ parts in terms of its
Yeah.
function.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really awesome though.
Mhm.
I'm glad that we were able to figure it out and it resonates with you. I'll definitely send you a whole bunch of like resources
Please.
when we get the time. Yeah, and then whenever you have any questions, you can always hit me up. on Telegram, and I'd be more than happy to answer them and everything like that. But yeah, do you have any final questions right now? I know that, like I said, it's a lot. I'll send you the recording too. And as a
Yeah,
matter of fact, do you mind if I post this on my YouTube channel?
you can do whatever you want with this video.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I like being able to post some of my profiling sessions that I guess like go a little bit more smoothly. It helps people to be able to see, like, so somebody watching this video right now, they'd probably, I don't tell people ahead of time, like in the title or anything, like what the type is. I just have them like in the live chat, following along, and then they're discussing like, okay, yeah, so Charles just said this. I think that he's an INTJ, like my father, kind of thing. And then next thing you know, once they see the type revealed and everything, and I explain it, then a lot of people are like, but he's just like my dad that I thought was INTJ, but
Yeah, now you might have to go back and rethink it.
Exactly. And I think that really, because my accuracy function is my 3-year-old. So my aspiration is accuracy. And so I want, even though I'm like my harmony function is my driver. So I'm all about the, hey, how are people being affected? All of that. But my accuracy function is a part of me that's like, kind of like how you said, I just want everybody to just get along. Which is a very like 3-year-old
way of thinking. Yeah.
If I had a magic wand, I just want everyone to get along. For me, it's like, yeah, I just want everybody to have the freaking right answers to stuff.
I could see that.
Yeah. And so it's like I will hyperfixate, even though my accuracy is my 3-year-old. So it's not, as good as yours and everything like that. I'm not doing as much research, as you would as a driver and everything like that. It's still something that I focus on enough to where it's like, okay, the things that I do know, I want to make sure that people know that it's accurate and then there's like clean information and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'm glad that I'll be able to post this. I'll let you know when it's going up so that you can be in the live chat, and just don't tell people the answer I don't think they will. I think they all know better, but yeah. If they're asking like additional questions, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, definitely let me know.
Yeah,
awesome. I'm gonna be there for that.
Cool. All right, man. Well, it was really great talking to you again. Seriously.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Hey, I just wanted to briefly thank you for taking the time to watch this video, whether it was on regular speed or 2x speed, whatever it was. Just thank you for consuming the content. And around me, you should be able to see a few little buttons and logos for other recommended videos because, I make good content, new ones, but then I also have some really good old content too that you should probably check out. But make sure that if you really like this video, feel free to subscribe, to share. It really helps this humble channel to expand and reach more people and ultimately help more people. So once again, thanks for watching, and hope you have a great rest of your day.